What's up, everybody? I know it's been a while since I've been here. Maybe not. Is today Tuesday? It's only been a day. It's only been a day. All right, so let us get into Karen Reed. I need to share my screen here. With Karen Reed, I am kind of torn, okay? What's up, Benji? With Karen Reed, I'm torn in the sense that this is a video that needs a lot of background, okay? So here's what we're gonna do, all right? Because Benji, I do not know that you're familiar with the Karen Reed case. So what I'm going to have to do sometime this weekend. Let me look at I need to look at my schedule. Yeah, but sometime this weekend, I need to create pretty much a video just giving some background information on Karen Reed because a lot has happened, and it does appear that the trial is actually going to go on April 1st. So I think it makes sense to actually have background information on this case. In any event, did you guys, has the Colin Griffith verdict settled in, or are you still thinking about the Colin Griffith verdict? Or how do you guys feel now that it's 2 days removed from actually when the verdict was disclosed? All right, so Benji, just a quick rundown. What's up, Brooklyn? A quick rundown on Karen Reed. She is a resident of Massachusetts, okay? She's accused of hitting her boyfriend with a vehicle and causing his death. Um, she was on trial once before. I cannot remember the timeline. It must have been early. No, I think that was mid. Let me think. Sometime last year, okay? Sometime last year, she went on trial. The jury was hung, so they're retrying her. They've changed the prosecution. The defense, for the most part, is the same, with the exception of the attorney with the nerdy glasses. I don't actually know his name. I heard his name earlier. I forgot, the name escaped me. In any event, so what's currently happening? They're fighting back and forth. They're trying to set the ground rules for the retrial. The retrial is expected to begin April 1st. Karen Reed has a lot of supporters. There we go. That's a name. Karen Reed has a lot of supporters. Brooklyn is one of those supporters. Okay. Karen Reed has a lot of supporters. Folks, let me put it this way. Her supporters believe that this is a witch hunt. Okay. And then but I'm gonna have to, what's up, Callie? I'm gonna have to create a video either this weekend or next weekend, pretty much just recapping everything that has happened in the Karen Reed case in order to bring Benji, Fever, and everybody else up to speed. For this, I saw that it was on. I saw that this hearing was taking place when I was at work today, but I could not tune in because there's no way I would have been able to focus because I was actually doing real work. Okay. Um, I want to start basically with, Bev tearing into the defense, and then we're going to go back to the very beginning because I'm giving myself about an hour and a half, maybe an hour, because I have to get some sleep tonight, you guys. And I'm beginning my exercise regimen in the morning. Okay. So I need to be well rested. All right. Okay, let's get into it.
So much for taking the time to get on the phone with me this
Oh
morning.
shit.
Pursuant to our conversation, please feel free to
What is
forward
he
and engage
reading?
Wolf. Thank you so much for taking the time to get on the phone with me this morning. Pursuant to our conversation, please feel free to forward an engagement letter to this email address. You'll get that countersigned in
Oh, I
return.
think she's reading basically what is this? She's reading the email from the experts. That is so stupid. Like, I just do not understand, even for criminal defense attorneys. Why is this in writing? Listen, when you're talking to an expert, you are picking up the phone. And it's not even just an expert. There are a lot of things that sometimes attorneys do not actually want in writing, and that's a phone call. You're not emailing about this. Okay. So Benji said a short and a short and sweet stream is fine with us, So thank you, Benji. Brooklyn says, who did I side with? Because I didn't know I sided with anybody. Just said it was a very interesting case. Oh, Brooklyn, you're definitely a Karen Reed supporter. All right, let's get into this.
Along with your retainer is required. Also, if you could attach a copy of your, Dr. Rentschler's, and Mr. Klein's CVs, I would appreciate it. I look forward to speaking to you and your team soon as we iron out
I
the
don't know why
logistics
they
for
have
your
this stuff in
participation in
writing.
the trial. Thank you again, AJ.
All right, so Benji background. I guess let me think about this. I'm trying to think how to tackle this for somebody in Benji's situation that does not actually understand what's going on. Let me think about it. Because I considered the option of just going back to the very start of the hearing and then following it that way the rest of this week. I don't know. Let me think about it.
And then, as you pointed out, 2 days later, an email from Daniel Wolf to Mr. Jackson regarding
Mr. Jackson is this man over here. He is one of Karen Reed. This is the defendant. He is one of Karen Reed's attorneys. So basically, the prosecution is alleging improper conduct or non-disclosure or misconduct, rather. That's the word. The prosecution is alleging misconduct on the part of the defense attorney. Okay. And I don't know, he looks a little better today. He's not all the way flushed out because the other 2 days he just appeared very flustered with reason. Okay. So under these circumstances, the prosecution pretty much want exclusion of, not so much. They're just arguing that the defense lied to the court. That's pretty much what they're arguing.
engagement, and that's the title of the other one. Subsequent to our conversation on Wednesday, the U.S. District Attorney's Office has asked that we pause on any further conversation until we
And
receive
Kelly, did you watch the hearing or not?
additional information from their
Excuse me.
office regarding our involvement moving forward. I will provide you an update when I have it. Thanks, Dan. You called that a pause email, but when I was looking through my notes, what you said was, based on that pause email, I infer that there was no further discussion between ARCA and Mr. Jackson regarding compensation and retainer, and then out of the blue, the bill arrives. So my question to you is, are you inferring, or do you know that to be fact, that there was no conversation, emails, texts, letters, phone calls? Do you know that to be fact, or is that what you are inferring, as you said?
I am inferring, Your Honor.
Okay, him. For the defense, I absolutely love this attorney. Jackson, I was not really impressed during the first trial. And the other one, was it Yannetti? I believe that's his name. I was not impressed with him as well. But this man for the defense, this defense attorney, brilliant. But I also really like Brennan. I like the prosecutor in this case. He appears to be on the money. Listen, I just like people that actually make legal arguments.
do not know that as a fact.
Okay. So now my next question is regarding the invoice and the payment or fact of payment. So the
Okay, so
invoice
Callie
was
did not watch it.
provided.
All right, so I think that's what we are going to do the rest of the week. Okay, you guys can expect me to be here every day as of tomorrow until Friday. Let's think about if we're doing Friday or not. I might just be doing my laundry, but let's try and get through this.
February 13th, 2025, provided to the Commonwealth. The bill itself was paid on July 25th,
Go back to the date. Sorry.
on February 13th. So the invoice was provided on February 13th, 2025,
Okay.
provided to the Commonwealth. The bill itself was paid on July 25th, 2024.
Okay.
Why wasn't the record of payment produced at the same time
Good question.
Same time as what, Your Honor?
as the invoice?
And you're referring to the record of payment being?
Yes, why wasn't the fact that this payment was made? It didn't come out, for me, at least for the court, until I asked you midway through your proceedings. And in fact, I have the opposite. I have filed after
It's a
that
difficult
February
position to
13th
be in.
date. And I know Ms. Little filed something yesterday to clarify this.
And is there another trial that you guys want to watch? I've not really kept up with the other stuff because I'm focused more on Karen Reed and the Idaho case. That's gonna come up shortly. What's his name? Brian Kohlberger. I don't know why I keep forgetting that man's name. Okay, so Benji says it's okay if I learn and ask as we go with the flow of these videos or streams that we watch. Like the ASAP Rocky trial, I didn't know anything about it. Okay, I was watching on overtime. Got it. All right, thank you, Benji.
Seems pretty clear. This was filed, I believe, on the weekend, February 16th.
Yeah, but I am gonna create a video for you. In order for you to follow along properly, I just have to figure out exactly when I am creating that because this weekend I want to actually record the Colin Griffith case. I mean, that case is still on my mind. Okay, that was a brilliant case. That was a brilliant case.
In the Commonwealth's defendant's opposition to the Commonwealth's motion to exclude employees of ACA, the Commonwealth's motion to exclude these exculpatory expert witnesses
All
who
right,
were
thanks,
not
Brooke.
hired or paid for by the defense is not.
Oh, wait, I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Defendant's opposition to the Commonwealth's motion to exclude employees of ACA. The Commonwealth's motion to exclude these exculpatory expert witnesses who were not hired or paid for by the defense is not made in good faith in a desperate and transparent attempt to keep exculpatory testimony of neutral expert witnesses from reaching the jury in this case. Going on to the next page, ironically, the Commonwealth accuses the defendant of failing to comply with her discovery obligations while conceding that the information is not in her care, custody, or control. Moreover, here, the defense has gone above and beyond its reciprocal discovery obligations and has already satisfied all of its mandatory discovery obligations under Rule 14 and turned over all additional information in the control and custody of the defense relating to the ACA witnesses as ordered by the court at the last hearing, in spite of the fact that the defendant's reciprocal discovery is not yet due. How do you reconcile that?
Right.
I had to ask you midway through your presentation whether that bill was paid.
I'm going to answer it, Your Honor. I just want to make sure you were finished with your
Go ahead.
question. I learned that invoice was paid Sunday night.
I don't know that makes a difference because Alessi, if that's how you say his last name, he is not separate from the rest of the defense team. Okay. So under these circumstances, it's not a case of pointing fingers. He's really supposed to come up here. I don't want to say take ownership, but it has to be more of a united front. Whatever the other defense attorneys know, that's going to be imputed onto him because they are on the same side. I don't know, these parents, looking at these parents, the
Before
expression.
February 18th. I'm going to repeat that. I
You
learned,
don't have
I'm
to
sorry.
repeat it. And again, what you know and what all counsel know is one and the same.
I understand, Your Honor. I want to, so I'm answering your
Yes, so
question.
the fact that he knew about this or the fact that he was brought on at a later time, that does not necessarily absolve the defense because knowledge from all the defense attorneys is pretty much imputed onto him because he's the one up here arguing.
Question. That's part one of the answer.
Okay.
When that was submitted on the 16th, I had not gone and done my investigation and gone through and asked all the questions that I did. So that's
Why
part
not?
one. Part two of the answer is, Your Honor, you've referenced that I didn't get to the payment until the middle of my presentation. The reason is because I did my presentation in chronological order. And that's the
Good
notebook
argument.
that I laid out. I started with March, went all the way through. And when I got to the invoice, before I could state that it was paid, Your Honor asked the question, was it paid? And my answer was right away, yes, it was paid. And I said, and that's what I was going to get to next.
I
So
don't
the
know what to
reason why
make
it
of
came out when it did is because I did the whole
Question.
presentation in chronological order.
But the motion, defendant's opposition to the Commonwealth's motion to exclude employees of ACA,
It's a difficult position to be
is
in.
signed by you.
Your Honor, it is signed by me, but if I could with regard to 3.3A1. 3.3A1 is not a strict liability statute. That's the reason why it has knowing in it, is in order to violate 3.3A1, the attorney in question has to know with regard to the fact and issue. So respectfully, Your Honor, I have a different view of what an attorney is responsible for under 3.3A1. You're absolutely correct.
What does Kate
Under everything
Anthony
else,
want?
particularly Rule 14, it can be no excuse for any attorney, including me, that I didn't know what was happening in discovery. That's not the way Rule 14 works. I am responsible for everybody. But Your Honor, it's clear in the commentary, it's clear in the case law. The reason why knowing is with regard to each attorney is no attorney can be responsible for the statements of issues of fact in court when it comes to a 3.3A1 analysis. That analysis and construction, Your Honor, would render mere surplusage and read out the mens rea of knowing in something that critical of candor to the court. That's why they put the mens rea in, because no attorney can be responsible for a misstatement of fact of another attorney unless they have knowledge of the misstatement and they knowingly participate. So I respectfully have a different conclusion than Your Honor does about attorneys being responsible for statements on candor under 3.3A from everything else in the world, which I agree completely with Your Honor.
She said, okay.
All right. I'm not going to ask other counsel. All right. So let's move on to the next motion.
Your Honor, if I could, the tabs that I had.
Okay, hold on. Let's just get into the whole thing because I thought that was going to be a little different. I'm getting distracted. I should not get distracted. Leave all these other videos alone. Don't touch them. I thought Karen Reed, hold on. Thought I pulled this up today. Oh, this is trials. Never mind.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to get on the phone with me this morning. Pursuant to our
All right, let us get to the actual hearing. 3 hours. I thought it was 6 hours. I don't know what I was looking, but let's get here. I don't have time to waste. I don't know how or why defense attorneys got themselves in this position. It makes no sense. Oh my goodness, Callie. What do you miss about Biv? She's punctual though. That's what I liked about her.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Bluffman. Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor. Hank Brennan for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Mr. Brennan.
Good morning, Your Honor. Al Jackson, Street.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Good morning, Your Honor. Elizabeth Little, also on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Morning, Your Honor. Robert Alessi for Ms. Reed.
Oh, it is Alessi.
Good morning, Your Honor. David Kennedy for Karen.
All right, so we've got a few things
The audio
to
is
cover
terrible.
today. We had a couple of questions to finish off about the defense position on the opposition to
Okay.
excluding the ACA witnesses. Then we'll go on to defendant's motion to exclude Mr. Crosby, Dr. Crosby, and then we'll go on to the defendant's motion to exclude Robert Gilman. I know they're both under DARPA grounds, and we'll hear about that. And the Commonwealth's motion for sanctions. And we have newly.
Unrelated but related. I'm wondering whether prosecution calls Proctor because Proctor saw a problem. And if prosecution does not call Proctor, I wonder if defense is going to call him. I wonder if they're going to subpoena him. Okay, so Callie says it's the punctuality. One thing you're not going to do is waste of time. I love it. Yeah, that girl's on time, okay? Shout out to Bev Canoni.
To amend the scheduling order so that we don't hear the motion to dismiss today.
Okay.
And in opposition to that, and a motion to reconsider part of my prior ruling regarding the tapes at the Canton Police Station video. So that's the order that makes sense to me to finish up what we already had scheduled last week before we do anything else. So the questions that I have, before we start, so I want it to be very clear, council knows this. There has been some attempt at distinction between defense counsel. Mr. Yannetti wasn't on the emails. Ms. Little wrote the
Right.
pleadings that everyone signed. Mr. Alessi's late to the game here. But you all know that when one of you speaks, you
Right.
speak for the entirety of the defense team.
Yep.
When one of you act for the entirety of the defense team. And when one of you makes representations or misrepresentations, you speak for the entire
Yep.
defense team. You all know that. Do you understand that, Mr. Yanni?
I do, Your Honor.
Ms. Jackson?
Of course.
Ms. Little?
Yes.
Dang, why is she giving them a lashing so early on?
Leslie?
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, but that type of what is this? Blame shifting. It is actually pretty common in practice, or at least I've encountered it. Let me put it that way. Let me not say it's common. I have encountered that in practice, and it's usually, I mean, not under these circumstances, but it occurred when I was a prosecutor. It occurred when I was a public defender. Basically, somebody goes to court and maybe they have not done something and they blame somebody else, or, and they distance themselves from, oh, it's not me, it's somebody else in my office.
So each attorney is legally accountable for the actions and statements of the entire team.
That's crazy.
So now the questions that I have, Mr. Alessi, that you said were welcome questions, and I appreciate that. So I wanted to talk a little about that pause email that you call it. Could you stand, please, because I need to go with you.
Yes, I was going to go to the
So
podium.
go ahead to the podium.
I didn't want to stand.
Yeah, I like this guy.
You could stand. All right, so the pause email is you call it. So first of all, we have that Wednesday, March 20th, 2020 at 49 a.m. Email from Mr. Jackson. Dear Dr. Wolf, thank you so much for taking the time to get on the phone with me this morning.
No, we just did that.
Rule 14 works. I am responsible for everybody. But no,
We just did that.
mens rea in because no, not qualified to render the opinions that he is trying to render, and his
I think that's different now.
And I've read it.
Hold on, folks. You know I'm chaotic over
Thank you,
here.
Your Honor. I didn't do that last time. The way, and I had marked, Mr. Brennan has agreed to them going. May I just offer them in at this time? They're all marked. There are two. Your Honor's February 6th was Exhibit 1, so I picked up on 2 and worked it out before. What would you like me to do with each, Your Honor?
You can hand them to the court officer, who'll hand them to.
Oh, there you are. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Have you concluded what you?
Yes, but let's.
Okay.
Yes, 2
All right, so let's go on to do the Commonwealth want to add anything?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
All right, so let's go on, and I don't know. 499. So the motion of the defendant to exclude the testimony of the Commonwealth's witness, James Crosby. And I read it 2 weeks ago when it came in.
And I think that is pretty self-explanatory. I think you guys understand or at least what the motion's about.
And Mr. Leslie, I'll hear you.
Basically, the defense wants
Thank you, Your
a
Honor.
prosecutor's
Myself.
witness to not
Join
testify.
in. Thank you.
Or prosecution witness. Let me put it that way. No, why are you sitting down?
May it please the court,
The entire proposed testimony
I like listening to
of
him.
Dr. Crosby should be excluded because he is plainly not qualified to render the opinions that he is trying to render,
Okay.
and his methodology not only is not reliable, but it's not even documented. Your Honor well knows the inquiry under Dalbert Lanigan, so I won't go through Rentala and the rest. Your Honor's heard it many times before. Under the qualifications prong, the crucial inquiry, Your Honor set the standard for the subject matter of his testimony. And what is the subject matter of his testimony? The subject matter of his proposed testimony is the medical cause of the injuries and wounds to the right arm of the decedent.
Okay.
I'm going to get into how Dr. Crosby tries to camouflage to avoid the impact of the
Shout out to
standard
ODAC.
Your Honor established. But that is clearly what he is trying to do. And I cite to NDAO 1377, NDAO 1382, because that is where he renders his opinions. For example, he says, this is a preliminary response to your request for my professional expert opinion regarding injuries and defects to the right arm of decedent John O'Keefe. Similar statements. So it's very clear that's the subject matter of his testimony. Your Honor stated with regard to Dr. Rentschler that it is clear to me that in Massachusetts, biomechanical engineers are not qualified to testify as to medical causation of an injury.
Okay.
Only an MD can do that. That's what Your Honor said was the clear law in Massachusetts. Admittedly, indisputably, Dr. Crosby is not a medical doctor.
All right.
As a matter of fact, Dr. Crosby is not a veterinarian. He's not a forensic odontologist. And those are all disciplines that can even get near the type of subject matter that he's looking to opine about. He tries to dodge that very impactful standard that Your Honor established by saying, well, you know, this case is not about the treatment of the decedent. It's not a case about the treatment of the wounds on the right arm. And yeah, you'd have to be a medical doctor to treat, but that's not what the issue is, so I'm okay. It is a total straw man argument. He's creating this treatment. Nobody ever said the way that the issue is treatment. Dr. Russell never said treatment. Dr. Crosby made it up. So he creates this straw man to try to avoid the medical causation opinion that he is given. And I think that's a clear indication that he is very, very sensitive to the issue that he's not a medical doctor.
Okay.
With regard to his area of expertise, it can't be more obvious than his own proclamations. He says the name of his consulting group is Canine Aggression. His purported title is Certified Behavior Consultant. So he himself dubs himself with regard to canine behavior. And that is what he is
Qualified.
in. And of course, there's no issue whatsoever in this case about canine behavior. More importantly,
Why
his
does it
own
keep
report doesn't
skipping?
discuss canine behavior at all. So in conclusion, on the qualifications prong, Your Honor, based upon Your Honor's standard, he's not a medical doctor. He's therefore not qualified to opine on the cause of the wounds to the decedent's right arm.
Okay.
The court need go no further then the qualifications prong to exclude all of his testimony because all of his report is regarding the cause of the wounds to the decedent's right arm. And it almost is common sense that when someone is trying to opine on the cause, the medical causes of injury, that if you're not a doctor with regard to the issue, that you're not qualified. So now let's go to the methodology of Dr. Crosby. His methodology is essentially, he took measurements of one dog, a dog named Chloe, that it purports to be Chloe. He didn't document that it was. There's no documentation of that. But let's assume hypothetically
Shout out to Chloe,
it is
though.
this dog Chloe. So what does he do? He takes measurements. This is what he did first, and I'm going to get to what he's just recently submitted. So what does he do? He takes measurements, anesthetizes the dog, takes measurements of the teeth,
Okay.
and then he takes those measurements and he tries to apply them to photographs of the decedent's right
Callie
arm.
said justice
And
for
he
Chloe.
basically says in his methodology, I am measuring the distance between the canines. I'm taking other measurements of the dog's dentition. And then I'm going to compare them to the decedent's right arm in a photograph. And I am going to opine that the measurements of the dentition don't match up with the
All right, I think it's pretty clear. Oh, hold on. Did my mic get disconnected? No, the mic's still here. But to put it plainly, okay, from the perspective of the defense, having an expert witness testify at trial that the injuries on the decedent are not from a dog bite, that hurts the defense, okay? Because in order to create, I'm just going to give a quick recap for Benji and anybody else that has not watched the first trial or needs a refresher. So in the first trial, the not even that the first trial. Overall, the prosecution is arguing that Karen Reed hit the boyfriend with a vehicle. Okay, they were claiming, maybe they have a different theory this time around. But the first theory was that she backed up into the boyfriend, hitting him, and this man ended up dying in the snow. Okay. In order to create reasonable doubt in this case, right, the defense pretty much has to attack. They need different avenues of attack. One of the possible avenues of attack in this case is the theory that John O'Keefe, that is the decedent's name, the theory that John O'Keefe was, he died due to attacks from a dog. Okay, Chloe is a dog that I believe, isn't she or wasn't she? She's still here. I don't know, but I believe she was the Albert's dog. So in this case, the reason why the defense is fighting so hard to have this specific Dr. Cosby or whatever his name is, in order to get the expert excluded from testifying, is because excuse me, if the prosecution does not have an expert that's testifying to, or basically excluding Chloe the dog as being the culprit in this case, then they would not have that loophole, or they would not have that reasonable doubt. So in order to, make sure there are enough holes in the prosecution's case, they pretty much have to argue for this witness to be excluded. But here's the other thing as well. In the event that Karen Reed is convicted, then they have grounds to appeal, as opposed to not challenging the admissibility or the qualifications of the so-called expert.
Measurements and distance of the wounds on the right arm. Therefore, this dog couldn't have caused these injuries, and therefore these wounds are not caused by a dog, and this dog, so he says not only not Chloe, but no dog.
Okay.
Then he goes even further and he says, and I believe the cause is some sharp object. So now we have him going even beyond a dog, and he's claiming that it was caused by a sharp object. It just goes to show you how far he is afield of what he is doing. So he,
And if I remember correctly, I believe the prosecution were arguing that the injuries on John O'Keefe's arm were caused by a tail light. I think that's what they were arguing. So the significance of what Robert is saying here is basically, again, this Dr. Cosby is pretty much closing a hole or gap in the prosecution's case. And they obviously, I mean, from a defense perspective, it makes sense that they don't want.
he's not a medical doctor, so he's now performing essentially another diagnosis of the wounds to a human. He provides zero evidence of any experience in determining whether a wound on a human is caused by a dog or a sharp object. And his methodology, Your Honor, is remarkable for several other reasons. First, he uses a hospital wristband to take his measurements because the photographs of the autopsy didn't have the ABFO ruler in them. So he tries to use the wristband as a surrogate for his measurements. He provides no support whatsoever for using that surrogate. And what do I mean by support, Your Honor? For an expert to justify a methodology, they've got two ways to do it. The most prominent and common is that the methodology is generally accepted in the relevant scientific or medical field. He provides zero, and I mean zero, words to tether his methodology to a commonly accepted practice, meaning his methodology that he used, he doesn't show any support for that at all, let alone it's commonly accepted. He doesn't cite to one study, he doesn't cite to one scientific publication that says this is a permissible way to determine whether a bite is from a dog. So the burden, as Your Honor knows, is on the Commonwealth to establish the methodology.
Right.
And I note, Your Honor, that the Commonwealth, in its first response, states in the third paragraph, Dr. Crosby engaged in recognized methodology to study the abrasions on John O'Keefe's arm. What recognized methodology? Where is it? It's not in his report, and it's not even in the opposition. So they try to brush over with a conclusory statement, Dr. Crosby engaged in recognized methodology, when it's nowhere in their opposition. Where's the recognition for it? That dooms completely their second prong of Daubert. Then what they say about methodology in the same paragraph, they say the methodology employed was based on facts, science, and study. What do they cite to? They cite back to Exhibit 1, which is his report, which has not one footnote, not one reference in his report to support it. So the statement the methodology employed was based on fact, science, and study is a bald conclusion with no support at all. And this was the opportunity for the Commonwealth. I put it pretty clearly what the challenge was for them to come back and say, oh, no, the methodology, it's recognized, and here is the basis for it. It gets worse for the Commonwealth, Your Honor, on the methodology, because there are potentially some methodologies that might be used. They're called into serious question, but one of them for humans, not for
Okay.
dogs, is what the ABHO talks about is the dental mode and overlay method. It's basically take a mold of dentition, and in the most recent submission, the Commonwealth put in very belatedly, but I can deal with it, that Dr. Crosby now says he took molds of the dog's teeth. And so I'm going to accept arguendo that he did that and he did it correctly. But what he misses is those molds are meaningless unless you come to part 2. You've got to take those molds and compare it to something. And the something is what's called the overlay method. And what is the overlay method? And this is all set forth in our position. And I've got citations to the exhibits, which I go to. The overlay method is the part 2 you apply the mold to. So what you do is you take tissue samples of the wound.
Is that the only methodology,
There's a variety
though?
of techniques you can do, but you basically create the wound on a model, and then you compare the mold to the model to see if they match up or don't match up. He never engaged in the second part of what is, even with 2 parts, is a questionable methodology. He doesn't employ the overlay method, the part 2. So the molds that he took are meaningless unless you have the overlay to go with it, because that's what you compare them to. More importantly, the ABHO makes it clear that the only people that can do that are forensic odontologists. And even then, the science is very questionable.
Okay.
What he also does in terms of, and also for his methodology, where it's just a measurement, he provides 0 citations, and the Commonwealth provides 0 support for taking measurements in molds and comparing them to the 0. So what are the other errors of Dr. Crosby? And these are not mere differences of opinion, Your Honor. These go right to the methodology. And we put in an affidavit of Dr. Russell, who is the medical support for his errors. So Dr. Russell goes through and talks about all the errors that Dr. Crosby
I
caught.
know he's not. I mean, it makes sense that he thinks Dr. Russell made a good or makes a qualified expert witness. Again, the bar is very low. If we have to, I think the bar for expert witnesses is Vivarito. That's pretty much the yardstick, and you know how she's actually not, I guess she was qualified to testify as an expert, but I'm just saying the bar is kind of low. I still have a problem with Dr. Russell because I did not, I mean, it's a little questionable. It's not that the testimony, I don't care so much about the testimony, but I did not exactly, even credible is not the right, it's not whether I found her credible or not. I just did not know that her position is as well supported as probably as I would have liked to seen it, to see it.
Flaws in his analysis. The first, she says, is that he treated the arm of the decedent as if it is a static, plastic mannequin-like object. And what is meant by that? Your Honor may recall Dr. Russell stated that when anyone is attacked by a dog, they move their arm, they flex their arm, and they move it, etc. And that can cause a dog's teeth to have an incomplete bite, etc. Dr. Crosby doesn't account at all for that movement. So what he did was he treated the arm as if it never moved, and then he said, I'm going to take the dog's teeth, measure it, and then I'm going to take those measurements to a static arm. And he says it's just distance is too far off to say that it was from any dog. Well, what he didn't account for is that when the arm flexes up, as it always happens in the defensive wound mode, those angles and those distances change. They get closer together. It's common sense, but it's also medically supported by Dr. Russell. And she said when you do that flex, that is going to make those wounds approximate the canine. But the fact is, her main point is he never accounted for that in his methodology. It's not an opinion. It's a methodology. So again, if he were to cite to a study that would say, no, it's okay to just treat it illogically as a static object, he might have some support, but he doesn't, and there is nothing in the literature because nobody believes that's at all realistic in a dog attack. So that's her first criticism of him. She also states that the photos that he used, there's no documentation of who took them, how they took them, and we all know in forensic photography, those people who take those photographs have to be trained. They have to give a fair and accurate depiction. And you can look at one of the key photos, it's blurred. So it's obvious that there's a problem with one of the photos. She also aptly points out that there's not one citation in his report to any support for anything that he did. The Commonwealth, in their opposition, spent more words going back trying to attack Dr. Russell than they did trying to support their own experts' opinion.
That's a good point.
And I just counted the lines. I'm not going to tell you what the count is, but there's more lines basically trying to say that Dr. Russell's entire testimony and
I like
opinions
that
lacked
argument.
adequate authority. My mom, she had, I think, 31 footnotes in her report. The one who entire opinions lacked adequate authority is Dr. Crosby.
I need to hear him.
The other criticism
Testify.
that she has
Offer.
on the methodology of Dr. Crosby is that he didn't account for the dimpling and pinching and piercing of skin. Human skin, when there's any pressure, particularly with a bite, it moves, it dimples, it hits the muscles, etc., etc. He gave no account for the condition of the human arm and skin and anatomy, perhaps because he's not a medical doctor and doesn't know the area. So with regard to the Commonwealth's response, I'm appreciative of the fact that they cited to his thesis. So what they say is in the second paragraph, they said his master thesis, the specific use of evidence in the investigation of fatal dog attacks, has been peer reviewed.
Okay.
So what did I do? I went and read both of his theses.
That's funny. No, it's not funny. It's actually clever.
What I found is particularly probative of the issues I just raised. So I looked at his and read his. I read 179 pages of his 2016 Master of Science thesis that they cited. In it,
How is this not
he
working?
talks about, on page 46, defining bite mark evidence. A bite mark can be generally defined as a pattern made by teeth in a substrate. A dog bite injury is a pattern industry. Your Honor may recall the absolute probing of Dr. Russell on patterns and the arguments that patterns are a soft science and you can't rely upon them. And lo and behold, Dr. Crosby's first sentence in his master's thesis is a bite mark can generally be defined as a pattern. A dog bite injury is a pattern injury. So I appreciate in his thesis that he confirms Dr. Russell's methodology.
Okay.
What he doesn't do in his thesis is even mention his own methodology that he used here. In 179 pages, there is now one reference to the methodology he used in his report. With regard to I mentioned the ABFO, the American Board of Forensic Odontology, and I mentioned how difficult that is to do that correctly. In his thesis, he states, and I quote on page 61, the guidelines, however, do not indicate the criteria necessary for using each method to determine whether the bite mark can be related to a person's dentition and with what degree of probability. There is no science on the reproducibility of the different methods of analysis that lead to conclusions about the probability of a match. A very, and I couldn't agree with Dr. Crosby more on that. He then talks about, in his thesis, about the fact that there's no accepted methodology for dog bites, even using ABFO. And on page 63, I'm going to quote what he says. Although the ABFO does not specifically address animal bites, it would be logical to apply the same standards to forensic examination of dogs. And what is that standard? That's the mold in the overlay, right? He never did the overlay, and he was proposing in his thesis that that might be a way to go, but he recognizes that it is not reliable. And then on page 66, the last paragraph I'll cite in this, he says, reliability in human cases is under examination. Hard statistical agreement on consistency is not present, so each evaluator will have to make the best argument in each case. As case law develops and examination science progresses, we can hope that standards will be established and accepted. Until then, a forensic bite evaluator can best develop their opinion based on whether the bite mark
What's up, Jerome?
is consistent or inconsistent with a pool of potential subjects established by other means. Here we go. This opinion should be heavily influenced by supportive hard evidence, such as DNA, physical observation, blood, tissue recovered from the gastrointestinal tract, and other factors. So the ABO, he agrees with the fact that you just, even with this methodology, you've got to have it supported by this hard evidence that he doesn't have anywhere near in his methodology. And what he also talks about is relying upon a medical examiner for this hard evidence. And what we point out in our opposition, Your Honor, he never worked with a medical examiner for his methodology. He never worked with a forensic odontologist.
Did Russell work with
we point out,
an
even in this
MD?
very suspect area of bite mark analysis, even in the cases that allow it for humans, they are all cases where there had to be a forensic odontologist or a medical examiner involved for quite obvious reasons. So his master's thesis supports the methodology of Dr. Russell and provides not one mention of his methodology. So then I said, well, maybe in his PhD thesis,
All right,
which is more
Jerome.
recent,
Appreciate it.
2023, maybe in that thesis that the Commonwealth did not cite. So I went and read 143 pages of that.
I mean, we don't really have much going on right now. Just trying to, I guess, catch up on today's hearing. I did not get a chance to listen to it while I was at work because I was actually working. So I'm just trying to catch up.
And there is zero mention of his methodology. And that was just 2 years ago.
Okay.
So what does he say? In his whole thesis is entitled Dog Bite Related Human Fatalities in Scientific Study. So it's really about fatalities. And here it's undisputed that the decedent, his death wasn't caused by a dog. It's a dog attack, but that was not the cause of death. And his whole thesis is about the problem statement. He defines his thesis on page 18. One of the problems is the lack of standardization of methods in reporting. Lack of standardization manifests in several ways. So basically what he did in his thesis is he went through and talked all about when there's fatalities, there's ways, and he creates a classification system on page 63. But his classification is on behavior. Second sentence, page 63. classifying dog bites. This provided the opportunity to develop a protocol for classifying the incident from the dog's likely perspective based on its behavior. That's his thesis. It's got nothing to do with, is this wound caused by a dog bite? And so on the point of needing a medical examiner, needing someone like a forensic pathologist to be involved, he agrees. Page 125 of his PhD thesis, first full paragraph. Where possible, medical examiners or other examining experts should document the location, extent of wounds, and try to determine which wounds may have been antemortem, perimortem, postmortem. This may require histological analysis by a forensic pathologist. So he mentions what medical examiners should do, what a forensic pathologist should do. He doesn't even begin to suggest that he should do it or that he is even qualified to do it.
Okay.
So in sum, Your Honor,
When does
with
the
regard
prosecution
to
respond?
Dr. Crosby, whose degree is in veterinary science, I don't know what that is. Dr. Russell doesn't know what that is. It's certainly not a veterinarian, although
It doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
quickly one might think that's what it is. He's not. He was a police officer for 22 years. And even then, he didn't deal, he wasn't like a canine police officer. He had an interest in them then. And it wasn't until he retired that he became active in dog behavior and how dogs behave, if they're aggressive, et cetera, et cetera. So why is it, Your Honor, that we respectfully submit that he cannot testify with regard to the subject matter of his report, which is the medical cause of the wounds on the decedent's right arm? He's not a medical doctor. He's not a forensic odontologist. He's not a veterinarian. He has none of the qualifications to do that. And he really doesn't have any qualifications to say it wasn't a dog, but it's a sharp object. And then with regard to his methodology, he doesn't document at all how that methodology is generally accepted. He doesn't even, nor does the Commonwealth even talk about the non-exclusive Daubert factors and how they might satisfy that alternative. And lastly, when he speaks and writes a master's thesis and a PhD thesis of just 2 years ago, he doesn't even mention the methodology that he used. So, Your Honor, in Your Honor's opinion about Dr. Russell, stated that it was a close call for Dr. Russell in her ability to testify.
We go back what?
No, not if. Since
Hold on.
it was Your Honor's opinion about. So, Your Honor, in Your Honor's opinion about Dr. Russell, stated that it was a close call for Dr. Russell in her ability to testify.
Yeah, I mean, again, the bar is pretty low, but I don't know. I still question Russell. I still question Russell.
If it was a close, no, not if. Since it was a close call,
Right.
Your Honor, I believe it is as distant a call as possibly could be made with Dr.
I like this
Crosby.
defense attorney.
So I respectfully request that he be excluded. There's no need for a Daubert hearing. It's
Okay.
plain on the papers, and it's not something that is curable. The Commonwealth tried to submit very recently a mold. Interestingly, they never tried to document the methodology, tether it to study, show that it was recognized. They've now had 2 tries at it, and they haven't come close. And I'd urge the court to reject it. A jury should not have to hear from a dog behavioralist
Okay.
on what was the cause of the wounds to the right arm of the decedent.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Brennan, before you begin, Dr. Crosby is not going to testify that this injury appeared to have been caused by some sharp object, is he? Are you planning on bringing that in?
I wouldn't ask him to do that, no.
Okay. All right, so I'll need a
Yeah?
yes.
Okay. I like Brennan too.
Mr. Alisi tries to point out differences between Dr. Russell and Dr. Crosby, and there's always going to be differences between experts. One difference is that Dr. Crosby has actually testified in state and federal courts regarding dog bites before,
Okay.
where Dr. Russell never had before this case.
No. All right.
And so in preparation for Dr. Russell, we provided not only a CV, a history of his education, but also an actual report. An actual report of what Dr. Crosby did, the methodology explaining his analysis, his examination of Chloe, and his testing. That was provided to the defense prior to any testimony that he will have on the stand. When we look at the summary that's provided, Dr. Crosby has testified in numerous cases before. So those courts seem to disagree with Mr. Alisi's opinion. In addition, Dr. Crosby set out in his package numerous different journals and publications that he relied upon in this case. There are a number of publications, I won't read them all to the court, but we can see that he relied on books regarding bite mark evidence, human bites versus dog bites, forensic study of dog attacks on humans, a focus on bite mark analysis. The list is comprehensive. Variable mechanisms of dog-related deaths, life-threatening dog attacks, a devastating combination of penetrating and blunt injuries, fatal and near-fatal animal bite injuries, on and on. These are materials that he has studied, he's familiar with. Dr. Crosby has the qualifications to testify, not simply because he's testified in state and federal courts before this case, but also because of his studies and his education.
Because of his what?
It seems as though Attorney Alisi and his before this case, but also because of his studies and his education. It seems as though Attorney Alisi is trying to bind the court regarding a comment of the necessity for a medical doctor. There is no requisite that an expert in this field needs to be a medical doctor. There is no cases that they provide that bind that limitation. The qualifications of Dr. Crosby are outstanding and significant. He studied at the College of Veterinary Medicine. He completed coursework in forensic animal behavior analysis, animal crime scene, bite mark analysis, veterinary forensic pathology, forensic crime
Jerome's
scenes.
funny.
He's often called to go to autopsies around the country to study wounds.
I do not know that to be true, Jerome. I don't think that's true at all.
If they are bite marks, if they are dog wounds, and if they can be attributed to a particular dog. He served as acting chief.
Is that in the papers?
The different autopsies he hasn't, I can supplement.
Oh, Brooklyn, you definitely deserve a reward, okay?
The autopsies he's been
You
to.
deserve a reward. You deserve an award. You deserve a sticker. I don't know, maybe a deck of crayons, something.
I can also supplement specific cases where he's qualified. He has listed a number of cases in the back of his package.
So do I have the exhibits that I have are attached to the Commonwealth's, the defendant's motion?
They have.
I don't know that I have all the reports.
Exhibit 1 has Dr. Crosby's report that has all this.
Shout out to
information in it.
Brooklyn.
And as I mentioned on a previous tape, Dr. Crosby actually went and examined Chloe. And when he did that, he verified that it was in fact Chloe.
Even Kelly
It was
agrees
Chloe,
with Jerome.
and there was a subsequent report regarding those molds, which clearly demonstrate that the distance in those wounds are not anywhere near consistent with Chloe's spacing in his teeth.
So sort of as an aside, based on what Mr. Leslie argued, the verification that it was in fact Chloe, has the Commonwealth provided that
Wait.
information to the defense?
We have, and we can provide.
Go back. Let's see.
And there was a, he did that, he verified, Dr. Crosby actually went and examined Chloe. And when he did that, he verified that it was in fact Chloe. He did molds of Chloe, and there was a subsequent report regarding those molds, which clearly demonstrate that the distance in those wounds are not anywhere near consistent with Chloe's spacing in his teeth.
So sort of
Okay.
as an aside, based on what Mr. Leslie argued, the verification that it was in fact Chloe, has the Commonwealth provided that information to the defense?
We have, and we can provide that as a supplement to the court, the verification of Chloe, and we can also provide to the court the bite mold analysis report of Dr. Crosby, which is not in
I
this
have
package.
that, I think that's attached here, I have the photographs.
That's part of the original report, but then he actually took a mold of Chloe's jaw and teeth, and
Okay.
then I asked him to supplement a report regarding the mold.
And that's been provided to the defense?
It has, but it's not been provided in this package, so I can provide that to the court. So I'll supplement those two different items for the court's reference. In addition to his experience, he was chief of animal care and protective services in the city of Jacksonville. He had oversight. and
They
approval
said that
of
man was a
investigations,
police
training
officer,
staff, and
nothing
dog
but a
bite and
police
dog
officer.
investigations. He served as the Animal Control Division Manager for Bay County, Florida from February 2008 to 2010. He has training and experience, including certifications in humane euthanasia of animals, legal restrictions of methods and reasons for euthanasia. He's investigated numerous complaints of dog bites, and dog behavior. He's published. I had shown the book to Dr. Russell when she was cross-examined. He has a number of engagements where he teaches. Dr. Crosby is well recognized in the field. He has employment in other projects other than his business. It includes a research associate canine brain project, 2023 to current. It's associated with Harvard University. Duties include the investigation and documentation of dog bite and related human fatalities. Also, division management consultant for animal care and protective services, city of Jacksonville in 2016. He is a professional dog trainer, behavioral consultant. He has provided expert witness testimony in cases of dog bite, dog attack, dog-related fatalities. Now, in Dr. Crosby's report, he outlines his methodology, and you can see it is specific, it is detailed, it is consistent. And so when we compare, I'll refrain from getting into too much of a comparison. When we see the actual study of dog bites, we see something different in Dr. Crosby's report.
What do you see?
They're not unsupported claims that change from time to time. You can see that there are the pictures of Mr. O'Keefe's arm, and we can see the band in which he used to measure. You can see multiple pictures of Chloe's jaw, mouth, teeth, canines, incisors, and then you can see that he has measured the distance of all of those teeth
Okay.
specifically. And then in his methodology, he outlines each group of lesions, specifically lesion group 1, lesion group 2. And then he goes into an analysis of the different groups of lesions. He explains why they are wholly inconsistent with both a dog bite and any animal bite. And he also describes and explains that the distance between the wounds are totally dissimilar to Chloe's mouth. He does look, as Mr. Alisi suggested, at other support, such as DNA. And in fact, he embraces other support. In this case, there is no canine DNA, significant to Dr. Crosby because in virtually every case, he finds canine DNA. So he does look to alternative sources, and mindful, there was pig DNA found. So it wasn't as if the
Pig?
sample was obliterated or destroyed and there was no materials available for
Pig
testing. It's
DNA.
just the unfortunate consequence that there is no animal DNA. And so while there are different methods, and some of the things that Attorney Alisi spoke about, dentition, deal with human biting, not dog biting, his methodology is set out very clearly on how he came to these determinations, what he did in his study. He actually engaged in an investigation in this case before providing his opinions. So Dr. Crosby is well qualified. He has been accepted in state and federal courts before this case. He did a thorough examination. He has ample support for his training and experience, and his opinions are soundly based, not on hypothetical or rhetoric, but on the facts, on the details in this case. He has never changed his position from one event to another. It has always been the same in this report, has not wavered, and he is highly qualified to appear in this case in rebuttal if necessary, if Dr. Russell is to take the stand
Okay.
to provide some or any of the opinions that she provided before.
All right, so just to be clear, the Commonwealth does not intend, if I permit the testimony, does not intend to call him in your case in chief?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Leslie.
So I guess that would make a difference.
The Commonwealth did not address in its presentation, you heard one
I like
probative,
Alyssa.
legal or factual point I made because they can't specifically. The Commonwealth just stated
I like
that Dr.
him.
Crosby has testified in court numerous times. On what? It's important. You can be qualified to testify. And if it's what Dr. Crosby does on behavior, dog behavior, was the dog an aggressive dog? I get it. But the Commonwealth never said that in even one of those cases, Dr. Crosby testified on whether the cause of a wound was from a wound to a human was from a dog. It wasn't mentioned. There's no case provided. As best as I could, I looked at those cases. I couldn't find many of them, but I didn't see any indication that he testified and was allowed to testify that the cause of this wound on a human was from a dog or a specific dog. Point number two, Mr. Brennan mentioned he cited numerous journals. Your Honor, I would ask the court to take a look at his report. There is now,
Hold on, so that's exhibit one. and
yes,
four.
exactly.
Just give me a minute. Just put them back together. All right, so what page?
Every page. The point is, there's now one footnote in any of his reports. So he does go through his purported methodology. I've never said he didn't present a methodology. My point is, his methodology is not accepted, let alone generally accepted. And nowhere in his report does he say this methodology, this measurement methodology, is accepted at all. And you have to either show in Dalbert Lanigan that either you're
All right, so Jerome, you have to get ready for the crib, okay? We have 15 minutes. And then I'm gonna call it a night. How far does Bev go? Let's see. That's gonna determine. It's not that long. I do have to be in bed by 10:30 though, so that was your first call,
methodology is
Jerome.
generally accepted in the relevant medical community, or that you can satisfy the Dalbert factors, which I'm going to get to. But Mr. Brennan said he cites to numerous journals. Your Honor, this is what Mr. Brennan has to be referring to. If Your Honor would please turn to the end of the report. This starts on NDAO 1400. Very much toward the back.
Okay.
I don't know,
So,
one time is a lot.
He's got it in alphabetical order. Importantly, the page before 1399 at the bottom is entitled References and Materials Consulted That May Affect My Opinions in This Case. You can't have an expert report that does a data dump of references and says, there might be something in here that I might have considered that might affect my opinions in the case. And that's exactly what he did. And the only conclusion I draw from this is his methodology isn't in any of them, because if he had to cite which one of these contained his methodology, he would have to be creating fiction.
Jeez.
So when Mr. Brennan says he cited numerous journals, well, he did, but where does he tether his methodology to one of them? He doesn't because he can't, because his methodology, to the best of my research,
Jerome
Dr.
is funny.
Russell, has never been accepted by anyone. So then,
I appreciate you and all my co-counsels, Jerome. I definitely do.
what Mr. Brennan stated was that he participated in autopsies.
Good night, Callie. Yeah, I mean, I'll cap off in 12 minutes and then we can watch the rest of this tomorrow together. I have to find another trial. There's a case out of Florida. I'm not gonna keep you, girl. All right, good night. Good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow and I'll reply to your message. But there's a case, I've talked about this before. There's a case out of Florida that is really, really good. It's another one of those. It's a good case, all right. It's a really good case. So let me figure out if that's the direction we're going in. Brooklyn, we might cover her. Here's the thing. I guess what I have to figure out, because I have limited time, okay? I have limited time just because not just because. I have limited time because I have a real job that I'd like to keep, okay? I'd like to keep my day job. But I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know that Edelson or whatever her name is, I don't know that she goes to trial this year. I don't think she's going to trial this year. I think I suppose focus maybe on Karen Reed and Kohlberger, because Kohlberger is going to go to trial and that's going to be a lengthy trial. So maybe finish up on the groundwork on that. The mother cried on the stand how hard jail is. I did not watch the actual videos, but I did see I mean, I've seen snapshots here and there, but I did not watch the actual hearing. Oh, in a couple of weeks. I thought she only goes later this year. That's who we jump into then. But I don't want that to interfere. I don't want that to interfere with this Karen Reed trial. Okay, that's who we jump into because I think Oldbag asked, I think her name is Edelson. I think that's how you say her name. Edelson. Okay, that's who we jump into. So let's do that. Let me just look her up quickly. Hold on.
My point exactly.
Let
He
me find out.
participated in that. He obviously doesn't perform autopsies, so it had to be with a medical examiner or forensic
Edelson.
pathologist. He didn't do that in this case.
Trial date.
There's no
Uh-oh.
statement by him that he worked with a medical examiner, etc. So I think
No, it's not a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's not a couple of weeks, Brooklyn. What Core TV is saying, unless this has changed, right? Unless it has changed, Donna Edelson is going to trial June of 25. So I don't know, where has it changed? I do not know that she goes anytime soon. It says June of 25.
the inference the Commonwealth wants Your Honor to take is because he's participated in autopsies, he must have been the one that determined whether or not the dog bite, the wound is from a dog. There is zero evidence in any document from which even an inference can be taken. There's no foundation fact from which the inference can be taken that that's what he has done. He mentions a book that he tried to use on Dr. Russell and for whatever reason immediately truncated it. I will just reference that book is not peer reviewed, but importantly, nothing in the book that Dr. Crosby wrote, and I thank Mr. Brennan for bringing it up, there's nothing in that book that sets forth the methodology that he used here. It's not there. With regard to he's well recognized in the field, that's exactly what Mr. Brennan's words he just used. He's well recognized in the field. What field? For Daubert, you gotta have experience in the subject matter. I don't know what he means by field. Is it dogs, dog behavior? In Daubert, it's the subject matter, the testimony, which is what's the medical cause of the wounds to right arm. That's not documented. That's not even stated. He mentions Harvard, which people use for obvious reasons it's Harvard, but what is it that he is participating in Harvard in? And this was from the words of Mr. Brennan, canine brain behavior. I didn't hear anything that he's at Harvard opining on the cause of wounds to humans and whether they're not from a dog. Mr. Brennan said that he outlines his methodology. I agree with Mr. Brennan on that. He does outline the methodology that he uses. But fatal and problematic is he doesn't tether it to a study to say it's generally accepted, which is the key.
Dang. Jerome apparently wants a get a YSL once a week. What would that even consist of? Tell me. I mean, I like mess every once in a while because I love to laugh. But let me bring you up here. Say what you have to say, Jerome, and then let's call it a night. I don't know why I'm tired. Why am I exhausted? I need to get back to working out. I get back to working out tomorrow. Really excited about that. I get to Jerome, get on the link, and then yeah, I just need you to get up here before we get off because I'd like to know what this proposition is. Because I think you enjoyed the story from the attorney out of Texas, the one that I guess fell in love with a a drug dealer and was contemplating whether she should get pregnant or not. Jerome, please get up here. What do you mean a recap every week of what? Of YSL? I mean, that trial's about to come up. We don't really have much of a choice but to follow. No, Jerome, come up. You're not going to have me up until 11. Come up, man. I'd like to hear your voice. I've not heard from you in, a long time. Come up, Jerome. We have 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and then I need to go. I have to reply to these emails. All right, Jerome doesn't want to come up here, so I'll call it a night. I don't know what he meant about, GYSL, but we'll see. Brooklyn says the Edelson case was interesting because the mother was caught on the phone admitted to the crime when she didn't know that the call was not hung up. Koberger is about, what do you mean autism defense? What kind of defense is that? I don't know. Koberger is an interesting case. And for me, it's interesting because it's a difficult case. So, again, we've seen over and over again interesting legal issues come up in Koberger. And I've watched the hearings. I just never really got a time to talk about them or watch them with you guys. What's up, Mr. Jerome Streets?
See? Be
How you
careful.
doing?
Be careful what you ask for. It's showing my picture up there?
Nah, you're in a dark room.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it like that.
Okay,
But
what's going on?
just chilling. Thank
Yeah.
God South Carolina's not on fire anymore, you heard?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I've
They're
been
gonna get
thinking
rained
about
out
that.
tomorrow.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. What was you gonna ask me? I forgot.
You're the one that's talking about a YSL weekly recap. What do you want?
Oh yeah, that'll be fun because it's like the only reason why is because it's just showing the corruption in Fulton County, and it's just throwing pie in Fanny Fanny's
Call it
face.
that.
Yeah, it's throwing in her face. You know what I mean? Because that's like the bottom of the barrel, and hopefully
I'll bring
before we
you.
get off, hopefully they
Oh,
don't. Hopefully, what is his name? Little baby. I don't
Jerome again.
understand what he got going on.
Who?
We doing this again? We doing this again?
Put your finger on the screen.
Next time I do it, I'm gonna do it off my tablet and see if it does it off my tablet. Because I'm on my
Why didn't you
phone.
just change the settings?
I don't know how to do it.
Oh, all right.
But
Okay, you're saying?
I was saying that hopefully they don't do little baby like they did,
I
you
mean,
know.
that should. I'm sorry, I should not be cussing. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'd actually planned on, or not that I planned. I considered moving to Fulton County. Okay, I considered
What?
moving to Fulton County. Yeah,
For
I
work?
did. Yeah, I considered once upon a time, but after that, why I saw, nope, 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 nope. And then when they arrested, or not arrested, but when they did the press conference and they were saying Lil Baby was involved in some stuff,
Yeah, it don't
baby,
make sense. Don't make
I s-
sense.
I sent a message to my man. I said I'm not moving over there. I'm not doing Fulton County.
You might can clean it up.
Nah, I was just gonna do public defense work. That's what I was gonna do, but no, 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 no. They have too much going on. They have too much going on.
Sound like you can help clean it up. You can bring that New York in there.
Nah, that might be beyond me. Fulton County might be beyond me. I just, I just, I don't know. So, are you basically telling me that you want to talk about little baby? Is that what you want to talk about?
No, I'm just saying, knock on wood, hopefully they don't, you know, hopefully it don't, because a lot of things that I could say about like people in position to where they're making all this money and stuff, you got a chance to change your life before the feds come after you, because the feds uh they definitely like if you change your life. They'll get, they are very good with that. They'll be like,
Oh, they
okay,
wait for you.
yeah, they'd be like, okay, well,
It
we
looks
could,
like he's got things under control. Let's get him.
right, yeah, we could pull the gas back a little bit. That's what
That's
these young cats
crazy.
don't know about. They don't know about that part. Seems like they hit the gas when they should hit the brake.
That's crazy.
It's true though. It's true. My uncles and everything. When I grew up in New York, running numbers and all that, watching
Yeah,
them what they went through and stuff, it just makes sense when you know, when you live and learn.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out which direction we're heading into, but maybe let's do Edelson because,
I don't
um,
know, because Brooklyn knows. Brooklyn knows. He
yeah, Brooklyn and
Brooklyn is on
OBAG.
point. Oh yeah, OBAC.
Yeah,
Because
they've been.
y'all could probably do like 3 trials at one time and just do
I have a
like a
real job. I cannot do that. I cannot do
no, I'm
that.
just saying when you do like how you do the 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 nightly news, you'll pick your day, you'll do your days of which trial we gonna do, and we'll know for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll know which trial we're
Yeah, but the
dealing with.
difference is people want to watch trials in real time.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're
I
right.
mean,
That
with
makes
the
sense.
exception of like Brooklyn, you, Obag, Cali, Benji, I could be watching these trials like 10 years from now, and you guys would still be watching. So that's a
I
difference.
I'm like a
But
student. I'm like Benji. I'm a student. You
yeah, but
know,
people want to
it's
watch
just
it
like,
in real
but
time.
Brooklyn. I don't know. I don't. Callie, I didn't figure her out. She's a she or he. Callie.
What?
Callie's a girl or a boy?
Kelly is my friend. She's actually my real friend in real life.
She's a girl though. She's a girl.
Yeah, we've
Okay,
been
okay.
besties since we were like 13.
For real?
Yeah, I know her in real life. But I mean, you must have missed a live because I
Yeah, I
got
did.
tired coming on here pretending like I don't actually know her, but
Oh,
I know
okay.
her. She's like
That's what's
she's
up.
my friend.
Oh, that's what's up.
She's
That's
my
what's
friend
up.
friend. So yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, hey, I'll leave it up to you because, like I said, you could talk about dogs and I'll watch. I don't care what you talk about.
So
I'll
dog
listen
bite.
to you.
We
Yeah,
can be some dog bite experts.
yeah. Or you could get old bag on here. We could talk about goats
Oh my
because
goodness.
I don't
You
know what it is about the goats, but you started that goat thing. I don't know
I
what
mean,
that
she
means.
actually does have goats. She's been sending me pictures of goats.
I love
Like
old bag.
I think she has an actual farm, so you know, she
Sounds
might
like
want
fun
her
to
to
me.
send me some meat or something.
Mm.
But
I don't know. I don't know because I'm still trying to figure. I'm leaving. I'm going out of town. I'll be up in Virginia, so
where are you
uh,
going?
to Richmond. I'm doing some work up there. Actually, it's going to be fun and
Really?
work. Yeah, it's going to be. It's fun and work.
You travel with work?
Yeah, that's the fun part.
No,
That's fun.
you're a better person than me. I hate driving, Jerome.
Oh, I ain't driving. My partner. He driving. Him and his brother, and
Dang.
they driving. They driving. I'm gonna
You
be
have
in
a
the
lot of
back
faith in
chilling.
other people driving you around. I'm even a worse passenger. Like I cannot. Mm-mm.
Well,
I
they're
don't.
part of my team. We didn't done this. We go back to we go way back to going. We didn't went to. I'm gonna tell you how long ago it was when we first went
Yeah.
out of town doing work. That was back when Katrina.
Sheesh.
We went back to the Katrina days and went down there and did some work
Yeah. Oh,
out of
really?
town. Yeah, that's how
Dang.
long. That's how long we've been rocking and rolling. That's like
Yeah.
they do other work, but we like all of my friends, we always come back together. Like everybody do their own thing, but
Right.
when the dollars make sense, it just comes together. And
That's
it
good.
could be only a couple of times a year, but
Yeah,
the dollars make sense, you know?
that's good. So what are you guys gonna do? HVAC?
Yeah, well, a little bit, yeah. For me, they got
Oh.
some other stuff they're doing. And I could tell you, we're going to Bennettsville first. They got horses up there. They got to fix some fences. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't. That's not my category. So I'll be sitting back watching them while they fix the fences. That's in
Oh, okay.
Bennettsville. That's in South Carolina. Once we finish that,
Yeah.
we on Friday evening, then we shooting out to Richmond, and
Oh, okay.
that's when I'll bring my tools out.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Are you going gambling or no?
Nah, they ain't got no casinos up there.
I don't know. I've never been to Richmond, so
Yeah, it ain't much. It's kind of city a little bit. You had to go
yeah.
through it on 95 though.
No, going through that's like me claiming that I've been to Louisville. I've not
So
been.
you never
I've
went through
driven
there?
through Louisville. I've never actually been. Does that make sense? I've gone through Louisville, but I've never really been there. I've gone to Ohio, but I've never really been there. Okay,
So you ain't never went on 95 going north
I never take
through
the highway.
Richmond.
I never take the highway.
Dang.
I can
I was gonna
count.
have a landmark for you because they got the Marlboro little stick because they make cigarettes there and it's got a Marlboro stick, a little
I don't
square.
smoke no more. I'm a weed.
I never smoked, but I'm just saying that's a landmark when you go through that Marlboro stick of anybody that go up 95. I'm surprised. So
Yeah.
damn, you got me confused now.
Like back here, I was trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out. My kid has a few days off when
Hmm.
school's out or whatever, and I'm trying to go to Legoland, but I really hate driving.
Where's that at? I forgot what Legoland is. That in Jersey? Where's that at?
Goshen,
In what state though? Is that Jersey?
New York.
Oh, it is in New York. Okay, Goshen.
Yeah,
Okay. You ever took her to the Sesame Street joint? Well, she's too old for that
the,
now.
Sesame Street. That's Pennsylvania.
Nah,
I
that's in
forget.
Jersey.
No, New Jersey. The one that I know, unless I'm confusing. Am I confusing? Hold on. Am I confusing, or maybe I'm confusing it for
Yeah,
Hershey
but
Park?
you might be right. Oh, I might. That's a 50-50 on that, but I could have
I don't
sworn it's
know.
in
I
Jersey.
thought it was. I thought it was. I don't know. They're showing me clothes. I don't have time to look up this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have time. No, I know they have a hotel Brooklyn, but it's the driving. I hate driving. I really hate driving. Um, because I mean, this whole Cuba thing messed up. Canceling my trip messed up
Legoland.
everything that I had planned for the year. Because we were supposed to go to Legoland in August, and my man was actually going to come up from Baton Rouge to drive us. But now I want to switch it around because I want to go to Cuba late. I'm kind of scared, honestly. I don't know. I should stay off airplanes. I'm kind of scared. I'm really scared. I'm really scared to fly. But I'm trying to talk myself into going to Cuba. But if I do that,
Yeah, I gotta go to Cuba. We ain't talk about that. My grandfather is Cuban. That's why I'm so
oh
light
really?
skinned. Yeah, that's my grandfather is Cuban.
Oh, okay. I have questions, but I
Yeah,
don't
my
want to put you on the
grandfather is
I don't want to put
Cuban.
you on the
Yeah,
spot.
yeah, not on here, but
Yeah.
but I'm definitely from Cuba. My New York people know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's a lot of people that they thought was Puerto Rican,
Right.
but we got Cuban descent. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
hate driving. I hate driving, and now I'm trying to figure out, do I drive? Do I take the train? The problem is,
Train is great. You'll love the train. I love the
yeah, but
train.
it's gonna take me to it's only gonna take me as far as what is a place? It's gonna take me as far as Poughkeepsie, and then it's an hour driving. I hate driving. I really, really hate driving.
Yeah. I used
I
to
hate
love driving.
driving, but it's worse for me because on a daily basis, I'm representing people that were injured in car wrecks. So I,
Right,
I
right,
really
right.
hate driving. So I
But
don't
if you're
know.
going that way, at least it ain't once if you're going because at least it's gonna be a smooth ride if you're going that way. So that's not you're gonna take 87. Pretty sure you're taking 87. That's the smooth ride right there. It's a smooth ride. It's just driving. You
Brooklyn
ain't a lot
said
of
you're gonna
traffic.
slip up any minute now.
What he said?
She said I'm gonna slip up and give up my location. So I don't know, man. I'm not.
Brooklyn always got your back. Brooklyn always got your
Yeah,
back. What happened to Jason? Where he at?
I don't know. Jason might be. I don't know. He might be working or something, taking care of his kids. I have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea, but I'm just trying to. Man, my schedule is so messed up.
But you going to Poughkeepsie, right? You said Poughkeepsie?
That's my option. That would be
Yeah,
my
that's a
option
smooth
for
ride.
train.
That's a smooth ride. If you was to drive Poughkeepsie, that's a
Yeah,
smooth
but I
ride.
still have to drive from there to Goshen, Jerome. I
It's
hate
still
driving. That's an hour. I hate driving.
it's a smooth ride though. It's a smooth ride. I could see if you was like hustle bustle type thing.
Dang, Benji loves driving. I hate driving. I cannot do it.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
love driving.
why,
I hate traffic, but that where you going up there, that's a smooth ride, man. You going up Bear Mountain and all of that. You going through the good landscape and everything. It's nice.
I still hate driving. I mean, I hate driving so much that I really considered um going to the Legoland in California so I wouldn't have to drive because it's close to San Diego. I thought I planned it out, but I'm kind of scared of flying. I'm too scared to fly right now. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm definitely
I'll
scared to
say
fly
it.
right now.
I'll say it just I don't like flying on those small planes. Just get on a big plane, you'll be all right. I don't like them little itty bitties.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so scared.
Those are the ones that I don't like.
I'm
Just get on
really
a good
terrified.
one.
I used to be
Yeah.
okay until Trump took over. Now I'm just, I have things to do. I'd like to make it to at least 120. I have things to do.
Right.
So, you know. So,
You never know. You never know. What you doing right now, I see on TV. Can you be a do what you're doing and be an online lawyer too? I see
nah.
online lawyers is making money right now.
How could I possibly be an online lawyer,
Just like
Jerome?
you on the phone with us right now. My
No.
consultation
If
is
if
that
I
that's
did that, then I would have to be worried about how much money I'm bringing in. Like, oh, I need to be on YouTube. I need to do something. I need to sell a cup. I need to sell a mug. I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I just want to be paid by insurance companies and call it a day.
You sound like Kayla. You sound like Kayla. You and Kayla got that kind of
Huh?
Kayla, you and Kayla.
No,
We can call her
I'm serious. I
No,
mean,
I'm serious too.
yeah.
I got a guy down here in Charleston. He's living real good, and that's all he do. He chilling.
Oh yeah.
He
I mean
chilling.
that's guaranteed money. This YouTube stuff, I mean, my channel's not even monetized. Maybe I'll monetize it later this week. I'm not sure. I don't have time.
Why you
Brooklyn
wouldn't?
said, "Why is money everything? Because we cannot afford the price of eggs, baby. That's why.
Why is money everything? Why is
That's
money?
why.
Why?
That's
Why
crazy.
is everything money? Yeah,
I
I feel
went.
this. I feel where Brooklyn's coming from because I'm kind of the same way because it's not like I mean money. As long as you get your bills paid, it's like it's like uh, uh knowledge is power. How about that? Knowledge is power, and it always
It's been
comes
a while
back.
since you said that.
It always comes back to you because the knowledge that you give, like you got, it comes back to you, either monetary or blessings, you
Let me
know?
put it this way. I do not want to be taken advantage of from a financial standpoint. Okay.
Who's going to do
'Cause-
that to SO? I don't, I
Huh?
think you stand your ground. I think you put your flag down pretty hard. Ain't nobody
What?
moving that flag, SO. You,
What?
you don't come across to me to take somebody to take advantage of you and you be like, oh,
Oh no.
he or
I'm
she got me.
I'm hard.
I
I
don't believe
no.
it.
No, no, no. No,
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 no, no.
no.
What? Tell me
Benji
what.
says, no, I'm just saying I don't like to be taken advantage of. So
I think it's kind of hard, in my opinion, to do that to you. I think that's kind of hard. It's not gonna be an
I
easy
am
piece of cake.
I'm a little bit of an a-hole sometimes, but Benji says he likes the power of healthy distractions like folding clothes. All right, Benji, you do your thing. I mean, I do stuff. I do laundry. I mop floors. I polish floors. I vacuum. I do a whole lot of stuff,
Right.
but I also do not want people to take advantage of me. I don't want institutions to take advantage of me. I don't want to be at the mercy of employers and other folks. So Brooklyn is saying lawyers making money is not easy as people think it is. Of course it's not. It's not easy. Like I work my behind off. I work my
Mm,
butt off every day. I put in a lot of hours.
hmm
So I'm stressing with people, I'm arguing with people, I'm fighting with people, and
hmm
sometimes clients are unhappy. Sometimes clients are not following what you're telling them to do.
hmm
So, and I come home and
hmm
I still have to parent, and then I have to entertain Jerome and Brooklyn and Benji and Dallas the whole day. So, yeah. I mean, it's
Well,
not it's not easy. If it was easy, a lot of people would be doing it.
you're right.
So,
That's just like it's like making money. People think when you make money, I'll use my example. It's like you make money, but then when you come home and there's a lot of paperwork that comes with that. People don't understand the
yeah.
paperwork that you got to do and what you got to do after, you know, um, you know, you know,
No,
they
I get
don't,
it.
that stuff that people don't see that
Yeah,
you
the
have to
behind the
do.
scenes.
Behind, there you go. That's what I was trying to do. The behind the scenes stuff, because it's tedious, but it's very because that's a lot of stuff that I've been on your live and I've been knocking out one bird with two, and
Oh yeah,
actually, doing paperwork at the same. Yeah, it's like doing
right.
warranties and contracts and follow up
Yeah,
emails. I mean, it's a lot of work to where you don't go to sleep until about
right.
12 because you ain't got time because you're working during the daytime. That's why I
Yeah,
tell people, oh, you got a business. Oh, you got a business. But like, bro, you got to know that if you got your own business, you don't really sleep.
right.
You
Right.
don't really
That's true.
sleep.
That's very true.
And then you
Yep.
don't really have a life. You have to have somebody that can actually sacrifice. Be like,
Right.
you work too hard. You work too hard. When you gonna stop working? It'd be like it's the weekend. Why you gotta it's a lot to it. I've lost a lot of relationships because of my strive. And that's what I tell people. It's like, yo, you better make sure because you're gonna lose that wife or your girlfriend. You might lose because you pick and choose. It's gonna be what you want to do or what she want to do.
Yeah.
So sometimes it be like that, and it's not easy.
I agree. I agree. It's a lot. It is a
So I,
lot. That's why I
yeah,
keep saying I need my men to be unemployed. I need them to be unemployed. That's the only
dang,
way they can have time for me. Yeah.
wow. So
Yeah.
wow,
What?
wow.
I need them to be unemployed. I need them to be playing video games 24/7.
You funny, you funny.
Just waiting for me. Yeah. This job
Oh
will
my
be to
god.
do nothing but drive my little car around,
Oh
take my
man.
card, put in gas, eat some hot Cheetos.
You are hilarious. That's why we love you, man. You are hilarious. Oh,
Yeah.
that came from out of nowhere. I wasn't even expecting that.
Right. I mean, life would be really simple. Like if I had a man that wasn't doing shit, man, I'd be so. I mean, I'm happy now,
Are
but
you
I'll probably be
serious or are you
happy.
joking? You joking or are you serious? Because I
I'm-
that's another thing. I don't know when you're joking or when
Oh
you're
yeah.
serious.
Benji said, "Where do I sign up?"
Who said that?
Benji. Benji wants to be driving around my car, driving around in my car.
Oh shit. That's funny.
Getting speeding tickets and shit. Yeah. Eating my
Oh,
baby snacks. You
that is
know.
hilarious.
Yeah. I'll be
Lucky
talking.
you, lucky old bag is not in here. Oh man, she'll be eating this up.
Brooklyn said apparently I need to find some trust fund kid. Nah, those kids are too serious about. They're serious about money and serious about socializing. When I get home, I just need like, should he cook? I don't know. Should my man cook? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe I wanted dinner. Maybe I wanted dinner when I walked through the door. I don't know. Have
Oh
him,
man.
with an apron on, a hat, is out there just, cooking, getting my stuff ready for me. So,
Mm,
anyways. All
mm.
right. What? You try to sign up? Is it too hard for you to run a business, Jerome?
I'm actually got my pen and paper out, and the math is not adding up because I
What?
keep saying negative. It's negative for me. I'm losing, so there you go. Right.
Yeah, I can. Listen,
I got.
I'll give you an allowance, okay? My men, they get an allowance sometimes, not always. You get top and a $50 allowance.
Oh,
That's it.
that's
So,
hilarious.
anyways,
That is
Jerome, I'm being
hilarious. This is probably the funniest that you've always been funny, but you took it over the top just now.
I'm
That
always
is hilarious. And don't delete this either, because I'm
I'm
gonna
not
do a
gonna do
I'm gonna do a replay so I can hear this tomorrow
No, I'm
to
not
have
gonna
me
do it.
laughing at work. I'm gonna be laughing at work. Oh,
Okay.
that is hilarious.
But I'll put up a poster in case. I don't know. Benji is definitely too young for me, but Benji is definitely too young for me. But if Jerome, I don't know, Brooklyn, if your relationship's not working out, you guys can sign up, all right? But you have to be unemployed, or you have to agree to resign from your position within 30 working days, okay? Jerome,
Yeah, you gotta resign. That is
yeah,
hilarious. That is
within 30
hilarious.
days.
That is
Within 30
hilarious.
days, you have to resign and pretty
So,
much
so,
agree
so
to.
can I say a joke? And this is just
Sure.
jokes. Can I be the side man and keep my job?
Brooklyn wants us to come with pre-nut. I'm sorry. I mean, if you don't have a job, sure. I don't want people with jobs. You have to be unemployed. You have to be unemployed.
Oh
That's
man.
the only way. That's the only way.
Oh man.
Men have time for women these days when they're unemployed. So yeah. All right, Jerome.
Hilarious.
I
I
love
needed that
you.
laugh. I needed that laugh.
I love you, but I gotta go. Okay.
I know. I love you too. Always
Shout
be
out,
safe. I
shout
love
out
the
to New
channel. I
York.
love everybody.
All
Love
right.
everybody.
Benji, Brooklyn, love you
Yeah.
guys. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming by. All
Yeah.
right, so we'll be live tomorrow. Let's do 9 p.m. again. I think tomorrow we probably will be done with this video or not. I don't know. I think tomorrow
Perfect.
we should be done.
Hey, how's the weather over there where you at? You got the
Baby,
storm
I've
going?
told you before, it is perfect. Okay? Perfect. I've never been to Virginia, just so you know. But the
Oh
weather
man,
is perfect. Perfecto.
perfect. You are fun.
Yeah.
You are so much fun.
Uh,
Yeah.
thank you, Jerome.
But all right.
All right. It was great chatting. He definitely kept me up here longer. You kept me up here longer, but I needed that laugh.
Me too. Me too.
Okay.
And you came that everybody needed that one. That's where that is
Baby said funny.
where that is where it's gonna be like, maybe you should do that after every live you do, to where you could, come out, take your tie off. I know how
Jerome, I'm not a
females do it.
comedian. I know I'm funny, but I'm not a comedian, okay?
But you're always funny. You always been funny. That was one
Uh,
of the things when I just snapped on the channel. For one, it was your accent.
uh,
Two, it
thank
was your laugh. And then for three was your comedian. Cause you and then you clown out people if they being a clown. That's what I like too. You're like, what
uh,
are you talking about? What are you talking about?
okay. All right, Jerome.
All right.
I gotta go, baby. Have a
All
good
right.
night. I'll
You
talk to you
too.
guys tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.